Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Musical and People's Rock Album Review Show! And my wonderful panel, we have Ian, we have Dom, we have Trish, and we have Dave the Legend! Welcome, everybody!
Hi!
Hello.
Hi, everyone!
That's it. I've got to coach you into bringing up the atmosphere. Anyway, what are we doing? We are reviewing the latest rock albums, and today's show we have a real mashup. And so, if you really like the show, please help us get to 100 subscribers. Because we love it. And so please like and subscribe and check out our Facebook as well. The more we get, the more wonderful interviews, the more rock bands want to come and talk to us. Anyway, so what have we got today? What mashup have we got today? So we have got the Tygers of Tang. Got that right. And their album Bloodlines. And they're up against Merca Ratatan's Circus of Rock, and that album is called Lost Behind the Mask. And this is what we're going to do. We're gonna mash them up. We're going to tell you what you like, and then we're going to choose which one we're going to buy at the end. Rate them out of 5 for our listening pleasure, and if it gets to more than 20, it will get into the wonderful Hall of Fame. Bands are now seeking out that Hall of Fame. Honestly, truly. Right, okay, and at the end of the year, we'll pick our album of the year. Anyway, right, so what have we got then? So the Tygers of Tang. Let's start with you then, Trish. Heard of them? What did you think?
Did you not just give a review of who they are?
No, I didn't.
Thank you. Considering, you know, I put it all together.
You did. So, of course, so Trish, well reminded, Tygers of Tang are formed of guitarist Rob Weir, so born whatever his name is, Richard Rocky Laws, Jess Cox on vocals, Brian Dick on drums. They played workmen's clubs and were first signed by local independent label Neat Records before MCA gave them a major record deal, and after several singles they released their first album Wildcat in 1980. The album reached number 18 in the UK album charts the first week of its release. So they are an English heavy metal band who are part of the new wave of British heavy metal movement. They formed in 1978 in Whitley in England, up north, and were active until 1987. The band reformed in 1999 and continued to record and perform. The name derived from Tang, a fictional archipelago in Michael Moorcock's Elric of Melbourne fantasy series, who wizards keep tigers as pets. Now, I am going to start with my pet tiger. Trish! Get your claws out.
Yeah. Tygers of Tang, Bloodlines. Yes, please. This album definitely has a throwback to the 80s. Even the cover of the album, having the tiger face coming through the woods. It's got a modern vibe to it in songs like In My Blood, while Fire on the Horizon is a heads down banger. Then in the middle you have the obligatory ballad, which isn't bad at all, with Taste of Love. The album is fast, heavy, anthemic, with plenty of fun pleasing songs on it. I absolutely love the anthemic Back for Good. It had me written all over it. The vocals are clear and punchy on the album. To revert back to what I said at the beginning, mentioning the 80s, which we all know is when I got into rock music and is still the heart of my rock music tendency. If you want more 80s classic rock before the grunge era arrived, then I definitely recommend this album.
Okay, Dom, have you heard of the Tygers?
Yeah, definitely. And I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them, to be honest with you, because they're like so stuck in this 80s new wave of British heavy metal kind of vibe that they're almost like their own tribute band now. It's or like a tribute band to like this, to the genre of of new wave. I also like that there is kind of like quite a retro feel in the production to the album as well. It's a bit trippy. It's a bit fantasy. It's a bit Dungeons and Dragons. All those things I love. I love little voiceovers in some of the songs. It's almost a bit, I don't know, Beavis and Butthead, really. And it's like recorded. It's way up in the treble. You know, where a lot of heavy music now is all down in the bass. They're still up in that, which is such a sort of late 70s, 80s kind of sound. So I think it's great. Yeah. My only point is the title track. The guy, Edge of the World. He must sing to the edge of the world like 1,000 times in that 3 minutes, doesn't he? That's basically the whole lyrics. That guy got kind of annoyed about 3 minutes in, but apart from that, I thought it was a great fun album.
Cool. Ian, Tygers.
I'd not heard of the Tygers of Tang before. And I'm glad I know of them now. I thought it was an absolutely pure adrenaline-fueled rock/metal album. I definitely say rock/metal because it balances and rocks backwards and forwards, but it intentionally so, I thought, which is a really, really good mix. It was a clear sound. They've definitely got a clear sound to them. And it was, for me, I thought it was a really well-produced album. And the production always makes an album more listenable to, even if it's not your flavour, even if the album isn't great. If the production is great, it just hooks you in even more. So I thought it brought a fresh edge, and it's a great rock album. I did like the ballad. There's no standout songs for me, and that's not a criticism. That's just because I really enjoyed all of it all the way through. Although, just taint it a little bit, some of the tracks got quite repetitive towards the end of the album. But that's really not taking away anything that came from the album.
According to Dom, it was also the beginning of the album. But there we go. So
that's track.
Yeah. There was definitely some repetition in there in terms of sound, because I think perhaps if they dropped a couple of tracks, they would have had a really fully varied album without any signs of repetition at all. But that's such a minor point compared to the enjoyment I got from the album. But definitely something I did notice. But a pure adrenaline-fueled rock metal, fresh edge, and great rock album.
Dave, Tygers, have you come across them before?
Yeah, I have heard them before. I did really enjoy this. They've clearly found their sound, and they do it really, really well. Great example of 80s era hard rock, and it's everything and you would want and expect from an album of this ilk. You got strong vocals, good riffs, solid guitar solos. Particular standout track for me was A New Heartbeat. Really, really enjoyed that track. It's made it onto my playlist already. Like Trish said as well, I'd like to shout out the album artwork. Absolutely stunning picture. I'm really big fan of album artwork, and this one really stood out for me. There's nothing spectacular about the album, but it's more than sufficient. And yeah, it's definitely one that will get repeat listens, that's for sure.
Yeah, I kind of heard of Tygers, but never really listened to them, and which is a shame, really, because they're really from my era, really. So I don't know why. Maybe I was hooked up. If I had to match them up, it would definitely match up with Saxon. Definitely that same sort of similar sound to Saxon, without any shadow of a doubt as well. But the thing is with a lot of these bands, as they kind of get older, they kind of do fall into the trap of reverting back to a tried and tested method without really adding anything new. And I've got to say, and I agree with Dom, I think there was some nice quirky stuff in this album which actually kept it fresh, which kept the sound fresh as well. I quite of like Edge of the World. That made my playlist, and also Back for Good. and it wasn't the Take That one, and Taste of Love, which I thought was a cracking song as well. So actually 3 of their songs made it to my playlist. And if 3 songs tend to make my playlist, that normally is that the album is an absolute stunner and it's going to get top marks. But there was repetition. It did, I think, lose its way a little bit towards the back end of the album, and there were some more forgettable tracks that I kind of forgot at, really. So it probably won't be an album, or whilst I thoroughly enjoyed it, that would be a go-to album for me to kind of put on. But those 3 tracks will be, will always come up because they're going to be on my playlist, and I definitely would go for those ones as well. But it was a really solidly good album, really enjoyable, well produced, and for a band that is been around, if they formed in '78, what's that? 35 years, and to produce music
45.
Is it 45? 45? Oh my God! Yeah. I mean, this album, any of them could be your father. Mate, to be honest with you, Dave, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm 40 I'm 40 next week.
No, you're not, are you? Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, but they could
You're
be,
10
mate.
years older than me. You look so good.
They definitely could be your father because they formed in '78 when I imagine they were 18 years old. So.
Oh, yeah.
Job is credited, mate. Anyway. Really good, and to produce an album of this quality, at 45 years on, you've got to marvel at it. I wish I'm going to have that sort of talent and ability when I get to that age. So, and a lot of these bands, and you can hear them like the Saxon and stuff, they're starting to fade, and it's solid, but it's good. Whereas this one, I really enjoyed it. So anyway, who are they up against? They are up against Merca, Ratatan's Circus of Rock, and Lost Behind the Max. Well, so Frontier Music SLR is pleased to announce the sign of Circus of Rock to the label. Circus of Rock is a new band, or rather a massive musical project. Masterminded by drummer Merca Ratatan, King Company, debut album Come and One and All has a killer lineup of singers and musicians. The amazing talents involved with the likes of Amaranthe, Taiketo, Hard Eye, Nightwish, Leverage, and more, plus musicians from bands such as Stratovarius, etc., etc. Merca Ratatan has a long career in Finnish hard rock singing. He's played 30 plus albums during his 30 career, including releases by King's Company and a few others. Northern Kings, etc., etc. So he's been around. And this album is obviously has a lot of kind of different lead singers and collaboration from a lot of bands. So Dom, did this float your boat, my friend?
No. This is basically right. This Finnish guy, Merca, whatever his name is, if you look at his history, he's never been in a band longer than about 5 minutes. It's a sort of compilation album, I thought, with a load of really random people. The one with the guy from Lordi is an abomination. It's an abomination. It is outrageous. I'm going against the grain here. It's so terrible that I cried tears of pity for him. No, Nigel, you're having a laugh. This was bilge. Terrible.
Ooh, wow. Let's Ian, bilge or brilliant?
Wow. Polar opposite. Absolutely. I definitely would describe this bilge, a good nautical term, just coming off the back of a cruise. For me, this was whitewater. If you thought it was bilge, I think this is whitewater. And that term means the water you can drink that comes out of a tap, as opposed to having to store in toxic cases. I really like the
My dog agrees.
Yeah. I really liked the project. Absolutely loved it. I thought having different artists credited in the album as well just gives different sounds, and that variety it's intoxicating. I've just loved listening to it. I found it, it's like when you have a podcast and you have different people on all the time. The idea for your audience is to be engaging, entertaining, and educational from a speaking point of view. This does engaging and entertaining, and for me, it's educational because I'd not heard of it before, so I'm just I've absolutely loved it. I do have a criticism. 14 tracks. Why weren't there more? It was brilliant. I wanted more. Absolutely wanted more of this style. I loved it. Loved it.
Wow. Dave, Bills or whitewater rafting?
Yeah, definitely not for me, this one. I appreciate what they're trying to do, but it just misses the mark for me completely. The different vocalists featured, it was very hit and miss. Some I really quite enjoyed, and others just made me want to shut the album off altogether. Wasn't anything that really grabbed me musically. I did find myself getting a bit bored, and it to be honest, it just ended up as background noise. I mean, it's always difficult if you're going to have that many guest vocalists to really keep a decent sort of style going throughout the album. And I mean, sometimes the variation can be good, but here it just misses the mark completely. For entertainment purposes, though, I do think we should take some time for you to go through and pronounce the names of all of the guest vocalists, though, Nigel.
Yeah, I just looked that up, mate, and I'm on it. Yeah, we're just going to do that as well. But yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not for me, this one.
Trish, can you rescue? Are you going to agree with Ian? Are you going to go on the bilge tank with Dom? What's happening?
So, Circus of Rock. Obviously, we've reviewed their previous album, Come One, Come All, which I loved. So, would this follow-up album live up to that? Well, the opening track had me dancing in my chair with Alive and Kicking. This track is then followed by a poppy rock surprise with Keep On Shining. Yes, I'm still dancing in my chair. I couldn't help smiling, though, through 9 Lives with Mr. Lordy on it, especially as we saw them supporting Sabaton. Even the ballad in the middle of the album, and as we know, I'm not a ballad lover, but I did enjoy All I Need. It fits well in the album. The album then ramps up again. This album just made me feel really happy. It's a great collaboration album with various artists on each track. It's pure pop rock indulgence that I have a weakness for. So this hit all my sweet spots and is now on my playlist, and I really want to see them live now.
Well, a bit too many people to have live. There's a lot of them. Okay, right. So here's the rundown. You want me to for the rundown, yeah? So we started off with Gurish Pradhan, Jeff Soto, San Diego. No, right, okay. I'm going to agree with kind of both camps here. There are some songs that are brilliant, particularly the opening track with, because we did do the Gurish review, and it was a terrific album. So I think Gurish Pradhan is really good, and I think Jeff Scott Soto is really good, and I think the 2 opening tracks were brilliant. And then I just couldn't invest myself. And I utterly agree with Dom. What people see or hear in Lordy, I do not know. I really do not know. The guy is useless. He can't sing. I mean, and quite frankly, I watched them at Sabaton, and you compare to what came after with Baby Metal and Sabaton, and I go, my God, seriously? I mean, why would you possibly have that as support? I cannot stand the guy. I can't stand his music, and I think you're absolutely right. It was a load of tosh. That particular record was absolute bilge. I totally agree. It was rubbish. And I just, the problem with albums like this is that you find, I mean, I love variation, but I just don't find myself invested in the song and the albums, etc. as well. So it was just okay. None of the real tracks really made it to my cool playlist. Would I give the album? Maybe if Gervish was on, I might listen to that. But it was just okay. It wasn't nothing special. there was some moments of great guitar riffs in there, and there were some moments in there where you go whatever, but I just couldn't invest myself in the album in its entirety, and therefore I think I listened to it once and twice, maybe I started to listen to it again, and then kind of, I think I might have got through to where Lordy was, and then just like didn't bother listening to the rest of the album. So it was just alright. It was just alright. Okay, swiftly moving on. Well, not swiftly moving on, because that's Tygers versus Merca. Well, this is going to be a split, isn't it? A little bit. Let's find out what we've got here then. So,
Nigel.
Yes.
Nigel, can I just clarify? You said you got to Lordy and then stopped listening. You did listen to the album, but it just makes you
second
not
time
want to
round.
listen to it.
Second time
point.
round.
Yeah.
Oh, God, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mate, I tried to listen to
I
albums
just
2 or
wanna
3 times,
clarify.
but then absolutely.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
listened to the rest of the album, and then after getting to Lordy a second time, it might have been third time, it was just like, yeah, maybe I skipped it the second time, but no, absolutely listened to the rest of the album. Of course I did. Okay, so Trish then, Tygers.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Dom.
4 Tigers, yeah.
4 for you as well. Ian.
4.
4. Dave.
3.5.
Dave, you evil son of a bitch.
I almost changed it to a 4 then, but then I thought, now fuck it.
I'd give it a 4.
Oh.
19 and a half.
Oh, Dave.
Dave.
No takey backsies.
No takey
Done it now.
backsies. No takey backsies. That's 19 and a half. Still, for a band, let's go. Okay, Merca, Trish.
5. You know it's my sweet spot, mate. What can I say?
Well, I don't know. Change your vote. That's what you can say. Anyway, Dom.
Master tapes need to be burned. 0.
0?
There's not one good song in there.
Wow. Wowzers. Ian.
5.
5?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Wowzers. Okay. Dave.
0.5.
Wow. I tell you what, we have not had a split like this. For a very long time, where we've gone from one extreme to the other extreme. Wow. Got a 3 from me. So I'm in the middle, guys. I'm Mr. Neutral. I'm Switzerland here. I am definitely Switzerland here. So, it's bizarrely still not a bad score. It's 13 and a half. It's still above average. So, wow. I think, I've not seen an album like this so diverse for a very long time. Dave, I bet you're relieved that you had somebody alongside you there, down in the bilge tank. So, but in the Battle of the Bands, Tygers win it, but only just, bizarrely, 3-2. There we go. Right, well, on that spectacular fight vote, thank you very much for joining us. Please tune in. Please get us to 100 subscriptions. Please like and subscribe our show if you like our content, you like our show. And thank you very much again to my wonderful crew, to Trish, to Dom, to Ian, to Dave.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Keep on rocking out there, and see you soon.